Some things you just can't fix in post-production. Bad sound, soft focus, really bad exposure, and poor planning. Those are the short answers. Now let's go into the details. As an editor, the bane of your existence will be 5 small words. We'll fix it in post. In theory, as an editor, your job is to find the best takes and selects, take those into a structure, and shape it into a narrative that keeps the audience engaged, whether that's a short film, a series of interviews, or a corporate commercial. You'll also probably have to deal with changing needs or circumstances in the project. That's just part of life, and you're going to have to think creatively and flexibly to resolve those problems. You're also, let's be real, probably going to have to deal with troubleshooting issues like Adobe crashing, codecs not wanting to play ball, and figuring out how to get a project from one piece of software to another. But those 5 words should be setting off alarm bells. The first problem you'll probably come across, and the one you'll most likely be asked to deal with, is bad quality sound. Sound is really important in filmmaking. It immediately sets the tone of the video, and it will separate the high quality from the trash in an instant. In fact, nothing will have people clicking off your video faster than poor quality sound. So when you're handed noisy audio where the mic's being blasted by wind sound, or where the gain is set way too high and every other syllable clips, you should probably start setting expectations, because there's not a huge amount you can do about that. Once it's clipped, it's not coming back. A little bit of noise can probably be removed. Plugins like Isotope can be thrown at the problem, and your mileage may vary, but they can do some great things. But even a medium amount of noise is going to leave the voice sounding distorted, robotic, tinny, or just plain off. And it's going to create a really bad experience for anybody listening, especially now in the modern age where so many people listen through headphones and they're going to have that in their ear. Quiet sound, on the other hand, if the gain is set too low, you can probably, boost it a little bit, but at the same time, any background noise is going to get boosted as well, and then you're going to have to tackle that. If you're on set, set your levels, take a second to listen to your recording and check that your levels are set properly, and just keep an eye on those bars. And if you see red, even if you see yellow really, just dial it down a little bit and stop the clipping before you get to post-production. Having bad audio is already a mountain to climb for any video editor. So if you're on set, get it done properly, check your levels. If you're just the editor, set those expectations early and raise those flags, because the client is not going to be happy if you go down the path and just deliver bad sound. The next 2 problems I'm going to bundle together because they come from the same root cause, which is poor camera work. Bad exposure and soft focus are some of the hardest things to deal with when you're in post-production. Exposure you get a little bit more leeway with. If you're a little bit hot or a little bit dark, even programs like Premiere can bring that back. And if you get it into Resolve, you're probably not going to even be able to tell the difference. When you go way too hot, you overexpose a window or a white wall or the hot spot on somebody's skin, and you blow that out completely, there's now no detail to bring back. It's gone forever. It's just going to be white. The same goes for darkness and shadows. If you take black objects or black clothing or dark clothing and shadows and you turn them into one big black blob, you're probably going to find that when you try to bring those up, all you're going to do is generate a huge amount of noise in the image, or you're going to find there's no detail there to bring back. So unless you're using a camera like an Arri or a Red or some other camera with a huge dynamic range, you can't afford to mess around with exposure. Get it right on set. Soft focus is a whole different animal. Now with soft focus, you can take any blurry clip, drag it into a timeline and throw a sharpening tool on it, and you'll see how underwhelming the results are. Now, I've been that person. I've been the editor who's been trying to fix underexposed or overexposed footage or soft footage. And you have to then explain to the client why it looks like crap. Don't get yourself in that spot. Raise the concerns with the client or the producer as soon as you can. And if you're the one on set, get your shit together. This last one is by far the most nebulous and the one with the most gray area. You can definitely save a video in the edit by writing in the edit. And sometimes that's just what's required. If it's a documentary or a testimonial, you might not know what you get until you get it. Other times though, it's just bad planning and you're going to have to deal with it. Similarly, with schedules, only 24 hours to edit, been there, done that. It's doable. Will it be your best ever cut? Of course not. But sometimes a video needs a quick turnaround. Maybe the video is just that simple and you can turn it around with the use of pre-made or stock assets. The format is already defined and you're more or less painting by numbers. There's plenty of other issues, both big and small, that can stem from poor planning. A lot of these you can fix in post-production, but the problem is you're probably just scratching the surface. A good, organised producer is unlikely to have prepared a shot list, a great script, and organised the whole crew together without having allocated the right time in post-production. It's unlikely they've gone through all those steps without really understanding what the video will look like at the end and having a good vision. Quite quickly, these problems can snowball, and before you know it, you find yourself with 3 days to edit a 5-minute mini doc from 10 hours of footage with little to no guidance, no time allocated for reviews, let alone sound and colour. And when you give them the first pass, they're going to ask you to cut it down to 2 minutes, even though their time has expired. If you see these problems, run. Good luck out there.